into the dining room, you should always look for your name tag because it's likely that the table has been set very specifically so that you sit in the right place. You should never sit with your elbows on the table and you should keep your hands on your lap. It's also important to remember that you should never start eating before anyone else has started eating. So everyone should start eating at the exact same time and it should be led by the hostess. You should never hesitate to take the last piece of bread or cake because there's probably more. And when you do eat your bread, you should never cut it or eat straight from the roll. Instead, you should tear it over your side plate and butter each individual slice. Before eating it. So if you do want to take a sip of water from your water glass, you should always dab your mouth with your napkin first because you don't want to leave any grease stains on your cup. So when you take out your napkin, never ever tuck it in like a bib. That's one of the worst things that you can do at a dinner party. Instead, you should lay it on your lap. So when you're served, the person to your right should always be served first. And so since I am on the right of Alexa, I would be served first. Let's say also that you want to pour some sauce for your friends. So let's say that I want to pour some beetroot sauce for Alexa, in which case I wouldn't pour it all over her dish, instead I would pour it on the side. You should always drink from your soup spoon like this, instead of putting it in your mouth. As always, there are just a few simple things to remember which are hopefully followed all the time, but never eat too fast, never eat with your mouth open, never try to talk with your mouth open, and never leave the table with food still in your mouth. Let's say that I feel the need to cough or sneeze. I should excuse myself from the table and leave the room so that I don't disturb the dinner. Excuse me, friends, I need to sneeze. So when you hold your knife and fork, you should hold your fork in your left hand and your knife in your right hand so that you can cut with your knife and you don't have to switch over every time that you then go to scoop something up with your fork. Also, you should always pierce with your fork and eat it downwards as opposed to scooping something up with your fork. When you finish with your meal, you should never pass over your plate with the knife and fork still on it because they might fall off and break something. So for example, I actually broke this rule at the dinner party. I accidentally passed over the butter with the knife still balanced on top and it fell and it broke one of the wine glasses. So here we've got some stale bread. Never examine the food, look at it, complain about it. Instead, be quiet about it. Just don't eat it if you don't want to. If you do end up eating some of it and you don't like it, do not make a big deal of spilling it back onto your plate. Instead, you can use your napkin to quietly spit it onto your napkin and put it on the side of your plate. When spreading butter on your bread, always use the knife provided, do not use your own knife. If you're cutting fruit, always hold it with your fork and then cut with your knife. Do not just try and cut it with your knife without putting your fork in first because it will probably fly over and hit something. And when you're not using your knife, you should put it down and only eat with your fork. Always leave something on your plate because you don't want to look like you've been left hungry. When you are finished, if you are not a member of the household, you should throw your napkin onto your plate, and if you are a member of the household, you should fold it because you expect to use these again one day. Never stick your feet so far under the table that you end up touching the feet of the person next to you. That is very bad manners. And you should never ever tip back on your chair. When everyone is finished, the hostess will stand and lead everyone into the drawing room.